My fellow Americans, distinguished guests, members of Congress, leaders of our armed forces, Gold Star families who carry the heaviest burden of freedom, and most importantly, the veterans who stand with us today and the heroes who rest eternally beneath these sacred rolls of white marble. We gather on hallowed ground. Arlington National Cemetery is not merely a resting place for the fallen. It is the living heartbeat of a grateful nation. Every headstone is a story of unfinished on earth, but completed in valor. Every blade of grass is watered by sacrifice. Every breeze that moves throughout these rolling hills carries the whispered names of those who answered when duty called, who left the comfort of home for the crucible of combat, and who ensured that the light of liberty would never be extinguished. 107 years ago, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the guns of the Great War fell silent across the sacred fields of Europe. The armistice of 1918 ended a conflict that devoured an entire generation, yet from its ashes rose a solemn vow to honor. On this day, every year, the service of all who have worn the uniform of the United States, November 11th, is not a date on a calendar. It's a covenant, a date when we pause, not just to remember, but to recommit to the ideals you defended with your lives. To the families you left behind in anxious vigil, and to the future you secured with your courage, your blood, and too often your last full measure of devotion. Stand with me for a moment and look around. Here in section 12 lies Audie Murphy, the slight farm boy from my home state of Texas, who at age 19 single-handedly held off a company of German soldiers atop a burning tank destroyer in the Kalmar Pocket, earning the Medal of Honor and every other combat decoration his nation could bestow here. In section 7 rests Ira Hayes, the Pima Marine, whose silhouette is forever frozen in the bronze on the Iwo Jima Memorial, raising Old Glory atop Mount Sorbachi, yet who returned home to struggle with the weight of survival and the sting of prejudice. Here in section 46 sleeps Medgar Evers, the Army sergeant who stormed the beaches of Normandy, only to face a different kind of tyranny when he came home to Mississippi, who marched for voting rights and paid for it with his life, so that America might finally live up to the promise inscribed on its founding documents. They are joined by the unknowns of every American war, the doughboys, gassed in the trenches of the Belleau Wood, the nurses who held dying boys in the arms on the frozen Chosin Reservoir, the Tuskegee Airmen who painted the skies red with enemy aircraft while painting a new chapter of equality on the ground. The code talkers of the Navajo, Comanche, and Choctaw nations, whose unbreakable languages baffled enemies and bound brothers. The women of the WASP, who ferried bombers across the Atlantic so men could fight. The trailblazers of the 688th, the Central Postal Directory Battalion, black women who sorted 10 million pieces of mail under the motto, "No mail, low morale," and who proved that valor wears every face America knows. Walk further, and you will find the resting places of the Vietnam veterans who came home to silence or scorn, yet who rebuilt this nation anyway. You will find the Desert Storm tankers who drove through burning oil fields to liberate a distant people. You will find the post 9/11 warriors, some barely old enough to shave, who hunted terrorists in the mountains of Tora Bora, who walked the dusty streets of Fallujah and Ramadi, who flew drones from trailers in Nevada to keep bombs from America's cities. And you will find the newest names etched just weeks ago of those who stood watch in Syria, Niger, and the South China Sea. To the veterans among us today, whether you served in the beaches of Normandy or the mountains of Kandahar, whether you wore the eagle of the Air Force, the anchor of the Navy, the globe of the Marines, the star of the Army, the propeller of the Coast Guard, or the newest emblem of the Space Force, you left your homes as teenagers and returned as guardians of history. You traded birthdays, first steps, and wedding anniversaries for foxholes, flight decks, and forward operating bases. You kept your promises when the rest of us were still learning what promises meant. You saw things no human eye should see, and you carried those images home in silence so that we could sleep under the blanket of freedom you wove. And when the battles ended, you did not stop serving. You built the interstate highways that stitched our country together. Under the GI Bill, you walked picket lines for fair wages and 8-hour days. You coached Little League and taught civics in classrooms. You became the calm voice in the storm for the next generation of warriors coming home, mentoring them through the VFW, through the quiet kitchen table conversations that no medal can ever honor. We see you, we need you, and we will never, never take your sacrifice for granted. To the families, the parents who packed care boxes and prayed over empty chairs at Thanksgiving, the spouses who kept the home fires burning through year-long deployments, the children who grew up saluting the flag because their mom or dad was halfway around the world defending it. Your loved ones did not belong to the military alone. They belonged to you first, and the hole they left is not filled by medals, by folded flags, or by ceremonies such as this. But please know their stories are now woven into the fabric of the greatest nation on earth. Because of them, children they never met will grow up free to dream, to vote, to speak, to worship, to love whom they choose, to start businesses, to invent cures, to reach for the stars. Today, we also confront hard truths that demand more than applause. Too many veterans still fight invisible wounds, post-traumatic stress that strikes without warning, traumatic brain injuries that rob memory and mobility, the slow erosion of morale, injury when the values you were taught clash with the realities you were ordered to execute. Too many sleep under bridges while we debate budgets in marble halls. Too many Gold Star parents wonder if their child's name will still be spoken a generation from now, or if it will fade like ink on a yellowed newspaper clipping. Too many women veterans, nearly 1 in 3 who served since 9/11, still face military sexual trauma without adequate recourse or resources. Too many Native American veterans who serve at 5 times the national average return to reservations where VA hospitals are hours away and suicide rates are triple the national norm. This cannot stand. On this Veterans Day, beneath the gaze of those who gave everything, I renew a solemn pledge. Not as a politician, but as your commander-in-chief. And as I gratefully and a grateful American, we will fully fund the Department of Veteran Affairs, not just in speeches, but in appropriations, until every veteran who needs care receives it within 48 hours of request, not 48 days and not 48 months. We will cut the red tape that keeps disability claims in limbo for months. We will digitize every record, hire 10,000 new claims processors, and guarantee decisions within 30 days. We will expand mental health services until no veteran feels alone in the dark, doubling the number of peer counselors, mandating suicide prevention training in every VA facility, and launching national Battle Buddy hotline staffed 24/7 by veterans who have walked the same road. We will end veteran homelessness. That's not just a slogan, but as a statistic that finally hits zero. And there's too many homeless veterans. You walk the streets of our nation's capital here today and you see them. You walk the streets of my hometown back in Texas and you see it. And we'll do this by converting surplus military housing, partnering with faith communities, and guaranteeing every veteran a roof and a caseworker within 72 hours of asking for help. We will reform the GI Bill for the 21st century, covering trade schools, apprenticeships, and coding boot camps so that the next generation of veterans can compete in an economy that runs on fiber optics and artificial intelligence, not just assembly lines. We will teach every school child the names etched here. Starting next fall, the Department of Education will distribute lesson plans on the Battle of Gettysburg, the Navajo Code Talkers, the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, and the fall of the Berlin Wall. So that gratitude is not a holiday feeling, but an American instinct, passed from kindergarten to commencement. Let me close with a memory that humbles me every time I recall it. Years ago, I met a World War II veteran named Herschel Woodrow Williams, the last living Medal of Honor recipient from Iwo Jima. He was 96 at the time, frail, his hands trembling from Parkinson's, but when he spoke of his buddies, his eyes blazed like the flamethrower he carried across that black sand. He told me, "Mr. President, I didn't do anything special. I just kept my promise to bring them home." He paused, looked at the ground, and added, "I never did bring them all home, but I'm still trying." That's the veteran's creed. I will keep my promise today. And I guarantee I will keep that promise. America keeps its promise to you. To every veteran, past and present, whether you stormed Omaha Beach or patrolled the DMZ, whether you flew Hueys over the IA or drones over the Hindu Kush, thank you to every family who gave more than any speech can repay. The mothers who buried sons, the widows who raised grandchildren on military pensions, the siblings who still set an extra place at the table. Thank you, and to the fallen who watch from these silent hills, from the revolution's frozen camps at Valley Forge to the newest graves marked only by a temporary stake. We will keep the faith. We will defend the nation you loved. We will heal the wounds of war, and we will strive every single day to build America you believe was worth dying for. America where no one who served is ever forgotten. There is no sacrifice ever in vain, and where the word veteran is spoken with the same reverence as hero. May God bless our veterans. May God bless the fallen and comfort those who mourn them. And may God bless forever the United States of America. And may we please stand for a moment of silence. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.